Valentine's Day by Dana Meechan Rao. A day for love. Every day, people show their love to their families, friends, and even pets through their words or actions. But there is one special day of the year when people all over the world celebrate their love. That day is February 14, Valentine's Day. The history of Valentine's Day as a day of love began centuries ago in the time of the Roman Empire. In ancient Rome, February 14 was a holiday to honor Juno. Juno was the queen of all the Roman gods and goddesses, and the goddess of women and marriage. The Romans believed that if they prayed to Juno, she would help the young people get married. During the day, they held exciting activities. They wrote the names of young girls on slips of paper and placed them into an urn. Each young boy drew or took a girl's name from the urn. He would then be paired with that girl for another festival to honor the god Lupercus that started the next day. The hope was that during the next day's festival, the boy and girl would fall in love and later get married. Legends of St. Valentine. At the end of the Roman Empire, Christianity began to spread across Europe. Fewer Roman gods and goddesses were honored with festivals. Even though the Christians still celebrated these festivals, they thought that the Roman names were unholy. So they eventually changed the Roman names to Christian ones. In AD 486, Pope Gelasius, the head of the Christian Church, forbid the Roman people to hold the festival that celebrated Lupercus. He didn't think it honored the Christian Church. He replaced it with another festival that would allow people to meet, fall in love, and marry. He named it after the Christian saint of love, Saint Valentine, because of all the legends that surrounded his life. According to historical records, there were 3 saints named Valentine, but the facts of each are unclear. One legend is that Valentine was an early Christian priest who lived in Rome during the 3rd century. At that time, Emperor Claudius II wanted everyone to pray to the Roman gods. But Valentine wouldn't, because he believed in the Christian church. So Claudius threw him in jail. While in jail, Valentine fell in love with the blind daughter of a guard. On February 14, Claudius ordered the guards to cut off Valentine's head. Before he was taken away, Valentine gave a love note to the blind girl. When she opened it, a miracle occurred. Her sight returned, and she could read his love note that he had signed, "From your Valentine." In another legend, Emperor Claudius II created a law that said no young man could marry. Claudius was having a hard time finding young men for his army, but Valentine didn't think that was right. So he performed marriages between young men and women in secret. When Claudius discovered this, he had Valentine killed on February 14. After Valentine was buried, an almond tree near his grave burst with pink flowers as a sign of love, and all the birds chose mates. Whichever legend seems more believable, both stories tell of the importance of true love. Finding a sweetheart. Over time, people started to believe that February 14, St. Valentine's Day, was a day to find one's sweetheart. During the Middle Ages in England, people looked to nature for some help. They believed that February 14 was the day that birds, especially doves, began to choose their mates. So the people thought that the same day might be the best one for them to fall in love too. People had other unique ideas about Valentine's Day. Before bed, a young woman would pin 5 bay leaves to her pillow or would eat a hard-boiled egg, including the shell. If she dreamed about the man that she loved that night, she would marry him within the year. Others practiced a tradition similar to the ancient Romans' idea of drawing names. In the 1500s, people chose Valentines by drawing names from a basket. In the 1800s, people bought Valentines at a store. A woman wrote men's names on slips of paper and rolled them in balls of clay. She dropped them in a bowl of water. Whichever name came out of the clay first and floated to the top was the name of her future husband. Others believed that the first unmarried man that a woman would see on the morning of Valentine's Day would be the man she would marry. In France, older people of a town would gather together, the young men and women. They would then pair the men and women into couples. The young women would prepare a large dinner. Afterward, they would all go to an elegant ball. Often, each couple would later marry. Symbols of Valentine's Day. People often decorate for Valentine's Day with special symbols of the holiday. Cupid was the son of Venus, who was the Roman goddess of love and beauty. He flew around and shot people with invisible arrows that made them fall instantly in love. Doves have been used for centuries as messengers. People used to tie letters to their thin legs and then let them fly away to deliver them. On Valentine's Day, doves are thought of as the messengers of love. Since ancient times, people have believed that one's heart is where someone feels love for someone else. The colors of Valentine's Day are pink, red, and white. Sending Valentines. February 14 is a day to send Valentine cards or Valentines. Historians believe that a Frenchman named Duke Charles of Orleans was the first person to send Valentines. While he was a prisoner in the Tower of London in 1415, the Duke wrote many love letters. Duke Charles of Orleans was held prisoner in the Tower of London. The Duke wrote many love letters and poems to his wife. In them, he often mentioned the name Saint Valentine. In Europe, in the 1600s, people began to send each other valentines that they made themselves. They attached ribbons, bows, and lace to decorate them. They looked at books called Valentine Writers. These were books filled with poetry that the people included in their valentines. People in earlier times read poems to their loved ones. Commercial valentines, such as these, were first produced in the 1800s. In the United States, people also made handmade valentines. They took their valentines very seriously. If a man sent a woman a valentine, it was almost like he asked for her hand in marriage. Commercial valentines first appeared in the 1800s. Machines produced the cards so that many could be made at one time. At first, the valentines were very simple, but by the 1840s, they became just as fancy as handmade ones. Some commercial valentines were very expensive. The fanciest valentines were created in England from 1840 to 1860 during the reign of Queen Victoria. Valentines were often signed and sent by secret admirers. The receivers had to guess who loved them enough to send them Valentine. America's first Valentine. Esther Holland was the first person to create valentines to sell in the United States. Her father had a store in Worcester, Massachusetts, where he sold books, paper, and European valentines. One day, Esther decided that she would create prettier cards than the European ones. She made a few by hand with ribbons and lace and sold them in the store. Then Esther's brother took a dozen of her cards on a business trip. When he returned, he had orders worth more than $5,000. So Esther set up an area in her parents' house and started to make the cards. After hiring people to help her, she was soon on her way to creating a large business for herself. Orders poured in. She sold cards for $5 to $10 each, which was a lot of money back then. For several years, she was the main, if not the only, American designer and maker of Valentines. Gifts from the heart. There are many kinds of things you can give or share with someone on Valentine's Day. Here are a few ideas. A soft, cuddly teddy bear is a fun way to say Happy Valentine's Day to a friend. A basket of freshly baked cookies is a yummy treat. Just be careful not to eat too many at once. People give each other flowers as a way to show affection. People can buy cards at the store or make them. One way to create a homemade greeting is by using some construction paper, doilies, glue, and glitter. A heart-shaped box of chocolates is a special gift for someone you love. Sharing some hugs and spending time with loved ones are some of the best ways to celebrate Valentine's Day. Sharing love. Today, Valentine's Day is celebrated most in the United States, Canada, Mexico, France, Great Britain, and Australia. February 14 is one of the busiest holidays for the post office. More than 1 billion Valentines are sent each year. Towns with special names such as Loveland, Colorado, Darling, Pennsylvania, or Love, Mississippi receive the most mail. Many people send their cards to these towns so that the postmaster can postmark their cards and then resend them with the town's romantic name. Valentine's Day is a wonderful day to show others how you feel about them.